Good day folks, it's DIY Guy 123 here, bringing you another do-it-yourself video. Today we're going to be talking about making an automatic chicken feeder. So with chickens, they like to stick their head in and splash the food around, and depending on the type of feeder you have, it might make a mess on the coop floor, but more importantly it causes waste and it leaves food around for rodents and other things to be attracted to. So I was going to buy a feeder, and then I just didn't want to make a trip anywhere, and the ones that I saw in the stores weren't quite what I was looking for. I want one that will very effectively keep from wasting the food. This is not my design. I don't claim any any part of the design, but I just want to show you how quick and easy it is to do this. So I've got this old bucket, and I had a bunch of these left over. You don't need the black ABS pipe. They're much more expensive and robust, much more robust than you really need. The white ABS is fine. But anyway, you want an elbow, and some elbows are female on both ends, but in this case you want female on this end and male on this end. Now, from the store they'll come with this extra little rib right here. You're gonna grind that off, and you're gonna grind off any protruding parts right here and also right there. When you do that, you're left with this. Now, we're not talking about finesse work. Just get the majority of that stuff ground off, and then it will slide in better. Now, the hole in your bucket, you want to be the smallest hole possible for this to fit in properly, because it will just be a more robust installation. If there's a bunch of play between this and that hole, then it will stress the silicone that you're going to use to keep it in place. This could twist or could fall out, and so it's just better to have the right size hole for this. Now, this is a hole saw. I don't have the exact right size hole. In fact, you can see there's quite a gap there. So this is the biggest hole saw I've got, so I put the hole in it, and then I used an air grinder with the reamer bit to just kind of make it wider, but I'd recommend you try to get the right size hole for this. The outer diameter of this is 3.5 inches, and the hole we drilled was actually about 3 and maybe a little bit more than 5/8. So if you get a hole saw that's even 3 and 3, if it leaves a hole that's 3 3/4, that would be probably okay, just a little bit oversized. And so anyway, we marked 5 inches up from the bucket, because these standard 3-inch elbows cause this to go in and down, and you want an inch gap from this to the floor of your bucket. So if you mark 5 inches up from the bottom of your bucket, by the time you put this in and thread it down, you'll have an inch clearance, and that's just the amount that you need to have food go up through the hole. So when you're drilling something with a hole saw, obviously when you're drilling anything, you want to have the item stationary. Put your drill bit in place. Okay, so there's that. And of course this won't fit yet, so as I mentioned, we're gonna open this up a bit. Okay, you can pause that. Okay, so we're back at it here. We got all 3 holes drilled, and you can see these little elbows are stuck in. Now, of course, you want to have these elbows all facing down, and make sure there's an inch gap from the the bottom of the black elbow down to the bottom of the bucket. And that's so that food can get under it. Now, the thing that took us a little while is making these holes the right diameter so that these things fit in and fit down there nicely like that, and kind of a semi-snug fit. There's not a big amount of clearance. There's not really any clearance to speak of all the way around. The nice thing about that is we don't need to use very much silicone. The nice thing about using a heavy bucket like this and only making the hole the exact size that you need is that the bucket will butt up against this edge here anyway, and so it's impossible for that to fall in. So anyway, bottom line is we've got our holes drilled, and we drilled them along this surface so that we could put this in the corner. And if you have a lot of chickens, you might need more than 3, but if this is always full, or it always has food in it, the chickens are unlikely to be frantic to get to it. Therefore, 3 is probably enough for, I don't know. We have our silicone here, and we're just going to do a coat around the perimeter. And this is not to seal anything, it's only just basically to be acting as an adhesive, really. Keep these black PVC things in place. So, not really expecting this to be a super clean job, but it'll do fine here. And of course, you need to make sure that these are all facing down. So I might do a little adjustment like that. There. And I'm now going to put some sealant on the inside. I can't coat it 360 degrees, but that's okay. If for some strange reason it... There. Since the food in this area will never be motivated by gravity to migrate towards those pipes, I'm probably going to put something here, like a ice cream container or brick or anything, just to prevent 3 liters of food from just sitting right there. In an ideal scenario, you'd have an angled surface like this to drive the food in that direction, but I probably won't get that fancy. So here we are with our no-spill feeder. It's been in place for a couple of weeks, and worked perfectly. And when it's empty, take a whole feed bag, throw it in there, and it'll actually take like 1.25 bags of feed. The feed is available right down there. They pick their head in and get it. And in order to train them, all I did was fill those cavities up the first time, fill them up to this height. And then as the chickens ate it down, they trained themselves to, you know, basically dig in deep. The only thing I would do differently is I used some kind of like silicone adhesive here, and the chickens pecked at it. Not this one, but like this one, they picked it over. So I would use, at least on the surface that the chicken has access to, I would use like some kind of really hard construction adhesive. The only other thing that I'll point out is to prevent the chickens from landing on it, I just cover it with garbage can lid, and now they land on the lid, but at least if they drop on it, they you know, it's easy to clean off and they don't drop in the food. And this lasts about a dozen chickens. This lasts a dozen chickens about maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, and there is zero waste. Okay, that's the end of this video. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Good luck with your do-it-yourself projects. Okay, so right here you see my newly installed oyster shell dispenser, and this is summertime and the chickens are out every day for most of the day, so most of the daylight anyway, so they already eat stones and other roughage, so I guess they're not really interested in this. I've had this up here for about 2 weeks and they really haven't eaten very much out of there, but I suspect in the wintertime they might go for it some more. But basically, to install it, all I did was put a screw in the wall on either side of the pipe and then just wrap some wire around the screw like that. And so to get this out, it's very easy for me to just, basically I can lift this wire because it's not tight and then slide this out from the base and down, and chicken's not going to knock that over. So that's how it's been. And obviously I don't have a huge volume, like a huge reservoir, but I don't think they're going to eat a lot of oyster shells anyway. And when I was feeding them before, they just sprayed around and wasted, and now they're not wasting any. So that's the end of this do-it-yourself project. If you like my videos, please subscribe. So here they are going for it. I've had the door shut to the coop for a couple hours, so they're probably a bit hungry. They don't mind going right in those little elbows for the food. They're going. Would have been funny to have the bag or the container like 2/3 empty. Oh, be nice. 2/3 empty to have the camera inside, but anyway, I didn't think of that. So there you have it. So that's how this non-spill, no waste, self-feeding feeder works. Super happy with the result, pretty cheap, and yeah, pretty excited about how it's going to be a good upgrade to the coop. So if you like this video, please subscribe, and good luck with your